probably need some sort of tokenization with financial abilities. Community engagement can be fostered with ERC-7527 as well. It is permissionless, so everything is on chain. I believe this EIP would bring more liquidity or even more self-provided liquidity.
Hello and welcome back to PEEPanEIP, your go-to podcast for deep dives into Ethereum's latest proposals and innovation. Most of us know about NFTs and DeFis, but have you ever thought about NFT liquidity, automated pricing, and seamless DeFi integration? Is there a standard that bridges the gap between these worlds? Let's find out. This is PEEPanEIP episode 144, brought to you by ECH Institute. I'm your host Pooja and today we are exploring ERC-7527 Token Bound Function Oracle AMM. Documented in September 2023, this ERC is in draft status. To break it all down, we are joined by Lanyin Zhang, one of the co-authors of the proposal. Welcome, Lanyin.
Hello.
I see that this proposal has the potential to attract both NFT and DeFi users, which represent a significant portion of the blockchain community. I'm really excited to learn more about this ERC, but before we dive into the details, could you start by sharing a bit about yourself, your professional background, and your involvement in the Ethereum ecosystem?
Yeah, of course. So I'm one of the main author of ERC-7527 and a core member of Premium DAO. So ERC-7527 builds upon the fundamental work and insights from Premium DAO and our community members, whose contributions were instrumental in developing the concepts that led to ERC-7527. Our collective efforts in exploring and developing premium token mechanism helped shape the core idea presented in the standard here today, ERC-7527. So personally, I'm a researcher and protocol designer in decentralized incentives with background in both economics and computer science. My path has been shaped by a deep interest in economic theory and in practical applications of the economic theories. While pursuing an economic track towards a PhD, I discovered the transformative potential of blockchain and smart contracts. I started to engage with Ethereum community, and this led me to a pivotal decision to apply my economic perspectives to the emerging field of DeFi. So after engage with the Ethereum community and learn more about EIPs, I started to dive deep into the smart contracts and also hackathons, for example, East Global and other East Denver hackathons and events and conferences. After that, I became a founder of Agent Ball and Rapcoin. So Rapcoin was based on ERC-7527, and Agent Ball is more like a economic infra for AI agents, which also engage something with ERC-7527, use the idea of it.
That is pretty interesting introduction. Thank you for sharing. I'm already seeing an implementation as you are leading the project, which has this particular implementation for ERC-7527. So yeah, I'm super excited to learn more about it. I understand there is a presentation. So without further ado, let's peep in.
Let's get started. So today I'm going to introduce FOAMM, FOAMM, that's Token Bound Function Oracle. So this is an abstract and overview of ERC-7527. It outlines interfaces for wrapping ERC-20 or ETH into ERC-721 and unwrap the ERC-721 to ERC-20 or that's an underlying asset. A function oracle feeds like mint or burn prices based on an embedded equation of function oracle, like with automated market maker, which executes and clears the mint and burn of NFTs. And the graph here displays the structure for a user. What is the use of ERC-7527? So you can input ERC-20 token or ETH into the foam, and then the foam would get price feed from the function oracle, and then it will mint a ERC-721 for you. And if you want to burn this NFT by destroying it, the function oracle will also feed a price, and you get to unwrap them into ERC-20 tokens or ETH tokens. So the motivation behind it is like liquidity problem. As we all know, like the industry of crypto is about liquidity. So liquidity can be a significant challenge in decentralized systems like this, especially for unique or less commonly traded tokens like NFTs. So to foster a trustless NFT ecosystem, the motivation behind Function Oracle automated market maker is to provide automated on-chain pricing solution for NFTs with liquidity through transparent smart contract mechanisms. So let me explain more about the motivation that it is not just to provide liquidity for NFT, is more about creating a new mechanism to provide a on-chain pricing discovery mechanism for different applications, so they can use NFT as a proof of something, like proof of their work or proof of any premium. So it's not just about like identity or just about artwork. It's more about premium. And the liquidity enhancement allows it to have more financial identity so that the NFT can engage with more like lending protocols and DeFi protocols, these kind of financial instruments in DeFi. So let's have an overview of the on-chain asset pricing first. So there are three main kinds of on-chain pricing mechanism for right now. The first one is automated market maker, which utilize the formula of X, Y equals to K, gaining the most consensus employed by Uniswap. And the second one is the bonding curve mechanism. It directly codes based on factors such as supply, with examples including like curve and pumped up fan. And the third one is auction-based mechanism. This may not sound as like popular as the previous two, but it is very common actually. Notable examples include GDA and VRGDA, referring to Paradigm's work. So first, AMM curves. AMM curves commonly in the form of x times y equals to k, where x refers to the balance of like assets x in the pool, and y represents the balance of asset y in the pool. K is the constant. That is, when you perform a swap, the AMM would make sure that like new x times new y still equals to the constant k. So it has a lot of advantage. Like for example, as the most commonly used swap solution, it has strongest consensus. And secondly, for ERC-20 exchanges, the AMM curve solution is currently like the best solution. However, AMM curve has significant drawbacks, including like LP problems. So for LPs of the AMM curve, they face several issues. For example, source of liquidity providers, For newly issued tokens, I mean, the token issuer must provide initial liquidity to ensure users to have enough liquidity to do the exchange. Ensuring the source of subsequent liquidity is challenging, and the third-party liquidity providers or even token issuers might withdraw LPs, leading to the rapid loss of liquidity in AMM pools. And management of liquidity is also a problem, such as the impermanent loss. This makes LP management a complex task. Moreover, like MEV attack also results in losses for various participants. The most malicious MEV attack on AMM curve is the sandwich attack. Any transaction without slippage settings is like vulnerable to sandwich attacks, resulting in like significant asset losses for users. So next, bonding curves. It generally includes like the following parameters: supply token, issue token, and the curve. The supply token is like the underlying token of the bonding curve pool. For example, ETH, probably Ethereum. Generally, users are allowed to use supply token to purchase issue tokens from the pool. In some cases, it can work like in reverse, like allowing users to sell their issue tokens back to the pool in exchange for the supply token. The supply token is typically like a fungible token, and for the issue token, it can be like fungible token or not fungible token, but like most commonly still like fungible tokens. It is the other type of token that users can purchase using the supply token and calculated according to the curve. The curve is the most important thing for the bounding curve. It determines the price, and some applications uses a single curve to like both the buy and sell prices, while others use like more complex mechanism where buy and sell prices follow different curves. The spread between these prices effectively acts as a transaction tax. Compared to AMM curve pricing mechanism, the biggest advantage of the bounding curve is that it does not rely on initial liquidity. The token issuer does not need to prepare a large amount of liquidity, but can directly issue tokens, relying on user-injected liquidity to maintain the price. This is extremely beneficial for so-called curation market. Curation markets were like one of the early discussion topics on Ethereum, aimed at like allowing groups to coordinate more effectively and profit from the value they co-created toward a common goal. For bonding curves, the largest problem is that tokens are unable to operate for long periods due to overly mechanical rules. For applications or the apps, they use curves do their token issuance or facilitate their application. It can have the problem of like the too transparent curve caused the early participants to have significant gain, and later on, many bots participate early to like claim the part that early participants could have gain and then exit later. So bots can like extract a lot of value, which caused the losses of the midterm participants. For like pumped off fund, this problem also exists, but pumped off fund creatively use like bounding curves only as like early LP fundraising tool, switching to the AMM model for trading later. This approach reduce the impact of mechanical curves to some extent, I guess. Yeah. And auction mechanisms. Auctions are like also a common pricing mechanism suitable for any asset due to its great ability. Due to technical issues, we generally do not conduct like sealed auctions on chain. Typically, we just use Dutch auction and English auction. Dutch auction is the most commonly used auction of blockchain, actually. Asset is auctioned like starting from a preset highest price, and the price gradually decreases over time until the deal is made. And English auction is that during a fixed period, the price of the asset is gradually decreased, and the highest price in the end would win. Like the auction winner is who gives the highest price. And then GDA can be used for both fungible and non-fungible token issuance, characterized by like completing all token issuance with a single launch without like needing the issuer to manually start each token auction. The principle is to initiate auctions for all issued tokens at different starting prices upon issuance. Compared to like GDA, VRGDA incorporates a time factor, allowing the token issuer to set a token release curve. If the token issuer exceeds the expected release curve, VRGDA will increase the price to curb demand. Conversely, it will lower the demand to like increase demand. For both GDA and VRGDA, they are primarily used for asset issuance, but they also have significant issues like users tend to wait for lower prices as time goes on. When all users choose to wait, the asset price continuously declines. In fact, GDA and VRGDA can be seen as variants of bounding curve mechanism, which does not solve the problem of bounding curve while losing the secondary market functionality. Overall, GDA and VRGDA only solve the primary market issue without addressing the secondary market problem. After the auction ends, the token issuer can choose to place the auction asset into an like AMM market. However, more likely the issuer will conduct a soft rug seeding to promote the project. For auction participants, the acquired asset like liquidity and the asset pricing is relatively unrealistic. All right, let's introduce ERC-7527. ERC-7527 system consists like three following parts. Here, as you can see, app, factory, and agency. So factory is something that deploys app, and agency is a pool for a like reserving assets, a pool and a vault. The agency continuously provide like buy and sell quotes based on the internal functions, that is foam. When a user accepts a buy quote, they can deposit and then like deposit the pre-specified assets. For example, the foam gives a price to the agency, and user can deposit that part of ERC20 or ETH into the agency. Then the app, like the app will mint a NFT for the user. This action is called wrap. Similarly, if you want to unwrap, you just like come to the app and burn the NFT, and the agency will give another price from the phone, then give back the ERC20 and ETH to you. That's the process of unwrap. So app here is asset type that inherits from NFT, and due to like the guarantee from the agency, it provides the liquidity backed by agency and foam. This kind asset can always maintain its like liquidity. If you don't understand for right now, it is not a problem, and I'll introduce more technical detail later. And this is also a introduction. So let me explain a little bit more about the key concept here. The first one is wrap. So wrap is basically kind of like the simplest solution to use the ERC-7527. It's like similar to a bounding curve. The foam are within the agency, and people can, like the users can use wrap function to call the foam to give a price code, and then later on perform like wrap action. However, this solution does not solve the problems inherent in like bounding curve. Here we employ a more interesting function to incorporate user behavior into the final quote results. The specific function used in the foam would depend on the price of the last transaction and the time difference between the current and previous transactions. That is, if you, let's use the example of the graph here. If you want to wrap at this point, at a like early point, you will have a low price. However, if more and more people get to wrap, then the price would go up. However, if people unwrap, the price would go down. So it's a dynamic pricing system that allows more variety of pricing rather than you just use the bounding curve to eliminate the factor of time. We are incorporating the time factor to perform a more dynamic price discovery. So for the unwrap mechanism here, our implementation use a like deck like function with like the last appended price in the stack would pop first at the unwrapped price. That is basically last in, last out. Let's get into more details into the specifications. So for the asset in the EIP, we structured it as like with 5 parameters: currency, premium, fee recipient, mint fee percent, and burn fee percent. So that's basically you need to first define a type of currency that is either you give a address of ERC20, like the contract address, or just use the 0 as ETH. And the premium here is basically the base premium. That is the starting point of your auction. So the price, the function with the foam would allow the price to go up and then go down during one single time period that like between the last transaction and the next transaction. And the premium here determines the very initial price starting from where. And from the next transaction, the price would depending on like the previous transaction. And the fee recipient is like obviously an address of someone who's receiving the transaction fees. And you can give fee percent for both mint and burn functions. On the left-hand side is the like graph of ERC-7527. So you have a factory, and the factory can deploy agency and like the APP, and the APP would issue ERC-7527 token here. And for a normal user, they would interact with the agency to wrap and unwrap. and the agency have the foam we just talked about inside and given the price, and then mint and burn NFT. So these are the major functions with here, like wrap and unwrap. Wrap is taking like an address to, that is, if you wrap, you will receive a NFT and the parameter will cast in here, and they can also have some data from the user. And if you want to unwrap, you also have a address too, that is where you can like receive the ETH or ERC-20 from the agency. And then you must also provide the token ID to specify which one, like ERC-21 token, are you going to destroy, are you going to burn? And then function get strategy. Here, the strategy includes the ability that foam can perform. You can implement a foam yourself, and you can write a description here to specify your strategy. So get strategy will allow people to see your strategy and get what you are implementing with the foam. And here, get unwrap oracle and get wrap oracle are two specific functions that you can like get the information from the oracle, returning the price and fee of unwrapping, and this one returns the price and fee of wrapping. That's basically during like function call, like the other function can call this function to get the prices and then use the price to implement the mint and burn. Burn here, mint here. And this is the structure for APP. So the APP is the major one for dealing the ERC-7527 token part. So it has major function to mint and burn the token, and they will be sent to the person who mint, like the address who mint this token, and also burn the specified token here. You can set agency, that's how you bond the APP and agency. They are like meant to be bond together. So like we are guaranteed the security of the funds and your liquidity. So you can make sure that the money are going to the right vault, right agency by like setting the agency. And you can get agency to track which agency is bound to the APP, like this contract. And you can also get name and max supply, these basic information from here. Yes. More about settings. These are more settings about agency settings. You have to have things like asset type and some data, and also the implementation address, and also some data in the APP as well. So for the factory, you need some information to deploy agency and APP, and that's how you can use factory to implement these two. And factory is actually optional, so it is fairly possible to implement just agency and APP. However, it would be very convenient to use factory to like write a factory contract and to deploy agency and APP. So advantages of ERC-7527. So the first one is you get full liquidity by like assets are guaranteed with wrap and unwrap, guaranteed with unwrap. So first you wrap, right? And secondly, you can unwrap directly from the vault and calculated by the firm. So you do not need to interact with a secondary market to sell your NFT to anybody else by, for example, listing on OpenSea. It's just like you can interact with the pool and sell your NFT by just burn it to the APP and agency, and the funds will get back to you. And here, self-provided liquidity also like saying that the liquidity are within the smart contract. So the funds are locked in the agency vault, and you are not going to worry about your funds are like extracted by any liquidity providers. So the liquidity provider role or the user role are kind of similar, like the same in this kind of setting. Everyone plays the same game, and people will need to wrap and unwrap to interact with the smart contract. And if you want to stake it, you do not need to move the funds in the agency. Rather, you can use like smart contract communication to do the proof. We have another EIP about communicating different smart contracts, but here we just like talk about like agency. You can get information from this contract instead of you need to use the fund or move the fund to other, for example, custodial contracts. And it meets community interests because users involved in wrapping from a community driven by economic interest, promoting the development of relevant agencies. That is when users have ERC-7527 tokens, they are naturally bonded with the agencies or the idea or the concept or the entity related to this token. And if more and more people join, the price will naturally goes up, and they have the incentive to be aligned with the agency instead of just selling the token or just dumping their tokens. So this foster a community by having NFTs and creating a bond between the communities. And moreover, the dynamic game theory allows people to engage this healthy mechanism. Like they can play with the auctions mechanism. Like they can try to find a good point to buy. However, they will not wait until the last minute to let the price go down, because people can like buy at some point of the price is rising. So there's more interesting things happening here with the dynamic game theory design. Instead of just bonding curve, you know the price will go up later on, definitely. Yeah, and you know exactly how much percent it's going to goes up if you are experienced with the same bonding curve. This captures the FOMO. If more people get to wrap, and price would go up quickly, like more quickly than you thought, probably. So there can be more applications and use cases of ERC-7527. For example, tokenized intangible assets. Like there are more kind of assets that can be tokenized on chain. However, there's no pricing mechanism for them. But if you have some sort of concept, not like meme coin, like just a like something you can have engage with, and you want a identity system. For example, you are creating an AI agent, and you want people who engage with the AI agent to have a token to display their identity, or you want the AI agent themselves to have like identities, you probably need some sort of tokenization with financial abilities. Previously, we only have NFT. However, NFTs are not great asset for financially for integrating with other financial tools. Other like DeFi tools usually only engage with ERC-20. However, with ERC-7527, all can be possible, like all in one token. Many previous solutions are using like fragmentation of NFTs. However, these makes NFT into breakdown into like ERC-20s, losing a lot of like original non-fungible features of NFTs. And next, the community engagement. So NFT has a natural like community engagement ability. For example, we can see like that many NFT communities have very strong like emotions and bondings because they have a proof of themselves as identity using them as avatar. Community engagement can be fostered with ERC-7527 as well. It can also like help artworks to do financialization, like tokenization, and also build up their IP and public relations. So one of the use case we have explored is Wrapcoin. Wrapcoin is a peer-to-pool atomic premium system on Ethereum, launched on Ethereum in June 2024. And Wrapcoin offers like a novel approach to like premiums, eliminating the need for third-party liquidity, counterparties, custody, or permission. It integrates token issuance, price prediction, and liquidity, quantifying and forecasting economic activity through token dynamics. This represents a dynamic paradigm shift in decentralized economy, offering a streamlined and efficient model. So Revcoin can transform like maybe programmable assets into all-in-one ERC-7527 tokens, including AI agents, payment accounts, game assets, and more. Yeah, that's one of use case we've explored and all about ERC-7527.
This was a great presentation, Lion. I really appreciate you taking out time to explain it in detail. I think it somehow help people who may not had a look on the EIP, the documentation that you have done. But this was great. You explained so many things, the existing challenges, key terms, MEV, attack, and the issues that this particular proposal is trying to solve. I have a few follow-up questions. I understand this. The basic concept revolves around wrapping and unwrapping of token, and the proposal suggests that we do it with ERC-20 or even with ETH. Talking a little bit more on that, I'm trying to understand because wrap coin is one of the use case here. I'm trying to understand like how this wrap coin or the use case of this proposal is any different than the custodial wallet provider. There also we give our token, keep it there, and we can take it out after a period of time and we get the justified difference of rates in there. So why people should use this one?
This is a like non-custodial system. So first of all, it is permissionless. So everything is like on chain. So in a like custodial system, maybe you can also like see your transaction from this address to this address. But once the funds are in their wallet, you don't know where it's going actually. For instance, if you are like making custodial like purchase of token, then you are probably don't have a ability to trace back the token if the third party soft rug or just basically rug. However, if in this case, this system does not require a certain third party to build a website or build a application or even build a front end for you. If you are a programmer, you can directly interact with this protocol, and this is on Ethereum, and nobody can like change it because it is not upgradable and no one has access to, for example, like the agency. So if you have the ability, you can even do a front end based on it so that people can use. This is permissionless, and we believe the openness code and smart contract have great influence on future projects and applications, because when open source or permissionless happens, more opportunities and more inspirations is gonna spark up based on this.
This seems like a great tool for people who may have coding abilities or understanding of the contract. I really hope that one day someone come up with an app or maybe a project and may be able to provide the APIs for people who have less understanding of smart contract but may be able to make use of this proposal. It seems really good to secure our fund in a way that we hold the keys. I mean, in a custodial way, and that too on Ethereum. Great work on that side.
That's a good point. And we find out that one of the problem is that you have to need to like code to interact with the smart contract. However, if we are implementing tools with AI and you can use natural language to directly say, I want to wrap, and you just interact with the smart contract, this could be fantastic. And we are trying to build this.
Very good application here. A little bit related question, but different because we are talking about more than a user's or an individual's fund. How does ERC-7527 integrate with DeFi protocol like DEXs or any lending platform? And also maybe if it can help with the fractionalized NFTs.
So with DeFi protocol, we have another like ERC-7615. This is another like EIP implemented to solve the problem that funds are locked in the agency. However, we can still use a communication mechanism to get update of the fund so that you can use the fund to stake in other places and integrate with other DeFi like protocols. So it is possible to use like push or like communication mechanism to communicate the vault here in ERC-7521 and to integrate with other like DeFi protocols by sending out broadcasting the information here to the DeFi, and then basically you can use DeFi protocols, generate yield or do lending stuff. That's the way you did it. So it's probably like you deposit some money into the bank and you got a deposit, you got a check, and you do not move the money and you just use the check to other places as I have this money and I want to get some like lending or interest and they can use this as collateral. So that's the way it works.
Very interesting. So the proposal 7615 that you mentioned about the communicating between different smart contract, it would not only help with DeFi, but I think this communication could be used for many more use cases in the blockchain ecosystem.
Yeah. And
That's
it
good.
is very similar to Uniswap's like Uniswap V-Force hook. It's also like once some event happening on the chain, and the event would basically communicate to other smart contracts, and they can use the information from this event.
Very interesting. DeFi has unlimited possibilities. I think people like you who are adding more standards, making it even more interesting to follow. Well, one question that always comes to mind whenever we are talking about money, DeFi, token, is about security. What security measures are in place to prevent manipulation, reentrancy attack, and Oracle exploit?
For the security concerns, as this is an open standard, we do not have very strict method to check everyone implemented ERC-7527 must have this, but we would warn people to check if agency and APP are bonded. So if someone maliciously implement agency wrongly or have a interface that people can upgrade it, that's probably a sign that it is dangerous, and people should be aware of that. Agency and APP should be bonded to ensure the security, and they should be in a state that not upgradable or in a very open way. They should have a open source of the code to check if there is malicious implementation of the agency and APP.
I'm not sure if all projects undergo any kind of audit, but I think in this case it may be required just to ensure that the implementation is done in the right way and not in a way to commit fraud.
This is like ERC-20. There are a lot of malicious ERC-20s, and there are a lot of ERC-20 security checks. Projects are doing, for example, on-chain security checking and proactively checking the security of the project. So when you implement ERC-20 or ERC-721 or ERC-7527, they are the same. You need to be aware of it is possible people are coding maliciously, have their own implementations.
Very true. It's always important to be careful, and the project has to be audited. I mean, if a user can ensure that the project's audit report is made public and then engage with that kind of projects.
Very true, yeah.
Very well. Looking ahead, if you have to summarize, what kind of impact do you think ERC 7527 will bring to the NFT, DeFi, and broader Ethereum adoption?
I believe this EIP would bring more liquidity or even more self-provided liquidity on chain. It's crypto native rather than located anywhere off-chain and custodial. So it's a progress to going more fully on-chain, and it is a exploration of how we can implement NFTs as premium token or as the token that you can use in different scenarios with more interoperability. So, it is an experiment of fully on-chain standard, and it is a improvement of full liquidity and self-provided liquidity. And it engaged with more dynamic behavior or user behaviors. It's welcoming more user interaction rather than just one line of implementation of code. It's a dynamic system rather than a static thing on chain.
Very interesting. I hope many new implementers come around and come up with different ideas, different use cases. I look forward to get some big changes with these kind of proposals.
Thank you. Yeah.
Well, that brings to the end of the question answer session. However, we do have another section which is called rapid fire round. round, we try to share a few questions for which you can respond in just one word or a sentence. This is just made for entertainment purposes. So please feel free to speak your heart. If you're ready, we can perhaps go ahead with that.
I mean, everything on chain.
All right. So let's start it. Biggest challenge in NFT adoption.
Liquidity.
What makes an NFT unique compared to an ERC-20 token?
Identity.
Name one key advantage of decentralized finance over traditional finance.
Permissionless.
Your favorite NFT marketplace.
OpenSea.
In one word, what is the main goal of DeFi?
Equality.
If your ERC had a theme, what would it be called?
Dynamic.
Would you rather pay 1000 Gwei in gas or explain AMM to your grandmom?
Explain AMM to my grandma.
What's the weirdest thing you have seen tokenized on an NFT?
Nothing weird, actually.
NFT is cool. If you could rename blockchain to something cooler, what would it be?
I think blockchain is like really good name. It's
Another interesting one. If Vitalik Buterin were to comment on your ERC, what would you want him to say?
great. Implement it.
Awesome. Very well. That was the end of the question list here.
Sounds
Well,
good.
well, that brings us to the end of today's episode. It's been a great discussion about ERC-7527 and how it could improve NFT liquidity and DeFi integration. A big thank you to you, the author of this proposal, for joining us and sharing your insight with us. People, if you want to learn more about ERC-7527, please check out the links in the description. And I would also like to thank everyone who participated, to my colleagues at ECH, especially Akash and Veleen, for helping putting this episode together. And of course, thank you for listening. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to subscribe and share with your fellow Ethereum enthusiasts. Until next time, keep exploring, keep building, and keep pushing Ethereum forward. This is Pooja Ranjan signing off.